And we are live. Welcome to the Javier Mendez podcast streaming with Jacob from Jacob CBD. I pick wins. And of course, Javier Mendez, your host, who's got the most to say on everything. Go, Jav. we got a new moderator, by the way, Jav. His name's Fahid. So shout out to Fahid. He keeps people from saying crazy stuff on all our comments when we do this.
Who?
I got a new guy. I'll tell you about him later. He's doing a thing. Because sometimes people will type on the messages and say a bunch of crazy stuff, and so he just bounces them off if they're just saying derogatory stuff.
Okay.
That's a good thing. Oh, what do we got here?
Here
We are.
What's up, BJ?
This is Team Jake Paul basically, and we got the coach. How's things going, Coach?
What's
Coach
up, boys?
BJ Flores.
We're ready to rock and roll. Sunday can't come soon enough.
So Javier had me pull up stuff that happened yesterday, like how the media twist things out of proportion.
Yeah.
I got a clip. I'll show some of that a little ways down. But, I saw Jacob trying to calm people down, like, hey, respect your mom. We're not saying nothing bad about your mom. That's not where you guys come from.
No.
It's not your culture. It's not your persona. And that ain't going to sell any more pay-per-views anyways, right? So
Who says it's not going to sell anymore? Pay-per-views? Are you crazy?
Javier, when's the last time you did that? You never did that.
No, I mean, the bottom line is controversial sells. It always sells. I mean, saying that it doesn't sell says like when Habib jumped over the cage with the Conor, that rematch wouldn't have sold more. You crazy? Would have sold more. There's a lot of interest when you have controversy like that. And in this particular case, the fight was good in itself, just by itself, but now you got a little stuff mixed in the middle that's going to create more of a buzz.
Well, I have a question. What was it like training in Puerto Rico for you guys? You can start with that, BJ.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, Jake understands the idea of seclusion. He understands the idea of going to a place where you can't be distracted. It's very important for a fighter to be focused, to be determined, to be dedicated to what he's got to do every single day. And seclusion is kind of the best way to do it. And in Puerto Rico, he's not bothered by normal things like you would be bothered in California. He's not, he doesn't have the same type of distraction or anything. His life is 100% boxing. We've surrounded him with the best equipment. He's got a top world-class facility out there, and he's very focused. So it puts him in a situation where he's able to perform at a very high level and focus only on boxing every single day. And it's done wonders for him.
How did you feel? How was that trip for you, Jacob? Did you like being down there? Was it a new scene for you to get into the isolation?
Who doesn't like living on a tropical island? I mean, Puerto Rico is absolutely beautiful. Our place is really just basically on the beach. So all the stuff you see in All Access where you see all that ocean front, that's kind of really where we're at. So it's hard not to like it.
Well, this is kind of like the Rocky training, except on an exotic island instead of the cold, wintry, stormy mountains of Russia or something up in the snow. You guys took them in the middle of nowhere. I mean, was that the plan? Too much distractions last time you learned from the last fight? Too many people butting in?
No,
hey, we need you. Go ahead.
No, he was great in the last camp, the last fight, but I feel like he just never really felt like he was at home in Miami. He didn't have a house there. We were doing an Airbnb. We're all kind of just getting situated because the camp before we were in Las Vegas. And we went to Miami. We gave it a shot and stayed out there. Jacob and I still have a place out there, but it just made more sense for him to be in Puerto Rico, a little further away, a little better as far as seclusion, and it just made sense. So camp was great. We brought in great sparring partners. We have a great facility out there, and we get a lot of focus and a lot of concentration.
What type of sparring partners did you guys bring in?
A few good ones.
Good.
J. Leon Love, Derek Finley, a guy who's been in with all the best super middleweights and light heavyweights in the world, and goes 10 rounds with all these guys. He's knocked a lot of the upcoming prospects out. Him. Former world title challenger Dennis Grachi. He's a light heavyweight now. He's fighting Rob Safar in September, who's 15-0. Dennis Grachi is 27-13, I believe, but all his losses are to like very, very high level opposition. He's a 10, 12 round fighter. A few other guys as well, just very, very, very high level boxers. Jake Boswick, bare knuckle champion or bare knuckle fighter, very, very tough, very gritty. Comes in at like 215, very hard headed. And then just a couple other local Puerto Rican guys that are also very good, provided Jake a lot of good work. So we put him in with a lot of guys, and every sparring session I rotate him in. 3 rounds with one guy, 3 rounds with the next guy. or 4 rounds with one guy, 4 rounds with the next guy. So he has to really raise it up on the back half of every sparring session to make sure that he's still winning those rounds.
I bring it up only because most people out there don't know what type of quality opposition sparring that Jake is getting, and I just want to bring it up to light to that because a lot of people you guys keep it very well hidden who he's sparring and sparring footage. No sparring footage of him has been leaked. None of that stuff. So you guys doing a great job. So I'm asking the questions because I know people want to know, well, who is he sparring with? Because a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're always asking me, well, who does he spar? Who's this? Well, you guys are answering the questions that I would need to tell them versus, me having to say something I don't know. I don't know who's who, but you guys know.
We also had a sparring partner in camp that actually got a fight out of it. His name was Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor. He's an MMA fighter, fought on Bellator. He's fighting Tommy Fury. He was one of the sparring partners as well. And then a guy that we did bring in, kind of just not to let the cat out of the bag, but kind of strategically that comes forward. He's kind of like a MMA style, but yet a really good boxer, has a ton of power and get Jake, very explosive, little short, compact. Was Jake Brutal Boskowitz, who was very, very tough bare knuckle fighter and very entertaining guy. Helped us, a lot. And a reason why I don't hear a lot about the sparring, and we were asked about this earlier, is because Mike Perez had even said it. He's like, hey, Jake got the better of me in sparring or whatever, and this and that. He goes, but Jake, you never said anything. And so the point behind that story is we don't really go around bragging about the sparring partners and the sessions we have, although they're very, very good, and he's sparring with high-level guys. Just because, you don't really want to – a big advantage I think that we have is that people take, Jake as light work or don't think he's, qualified in the ring. So we're just going to use that to our advantage until people figure out, hey, this kid can really fight.
Yeah. The other thing people are asking – excuse me, Lynn, I'm taking over your job.
No, I want you to.
People are asking questions like, okay, Jake's hasn't really fought any fighters for his first amount of fights. And what do you guys got to say about who he's fighting now versus who he's fought before? Because now he's actually fighting a real fighter, whereas before he fought guys that weren't really real fighters. You guys know what I mean? I mean, now you guys, you brought him into little tiny fishing. Well, little tiny. Now you put him almost in the ocean. Not quite the ocean, but you guys are kind of putting in Jake in the deep waters now. And how do you guys feel about that? You bringing him from the little pond. Now you're putting him in the big, big giant pond, because that's where you're at. Is he going to drown or is he going to make it? I mean, he isn't let's face it. You guys went from boom to boom, and how's Jake going to handle that pressure the first time ever he's going to have someone that actually is going to fight him? I know I have my opinion, but what do you guys got to say about that?
The pressure isn't going to be the problem at all. He's built for the pressure. But honestly, the 3 guys he fought before, those guys weren't good fighters at all. Nobody's saying they were. I'm not saying they were. Jake isn't saying they were. They just, if you look at anybody just kind of starting off, getting their professional career going, they're in situations, getting under the lights, getting their hands wrapped, feeling the pressure, feeling everything. But Jake's been ready for a guy like Tyron. He really has, and I think Sunday's going to show that. I have no doubt what's going to happen when I let him loose in the ocean per se, because I've seen it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds in the gym, and it's not the same in the gym as it is in a fight. But it gives me a pretty good insight how well he's able to handle some of these guys coming in there to take his head off. These good professionals that come in that are much better than Tyron, to be honest with you, to be frank, that are coming in there to take his head off. So Jake handles it every day very well. He raises to the challenge. He's up for it. He's very up for Tyron. We've taken Tyron very seriously. We know Tyron's a very formidable opponent. He's got a very good corner with Pedro Diaz and Gerald Tucker. He's put good professionals around him to put himself in the best position to win in a boxing match, something Ben wasn't able to do. And, Tyron, let's be honest, he's a lot better striker than Ben. No question about it. We give him full credit for that. But that's what we wanted, and that's the kind of test we wanted for Sunday.
Yeah, and what about the other thing, you guys? Remember, he was in a situation where he was going to get with Floyd Mayweather, right? Floyd Mayweather was coming on board, was going to help him. But yet, on the open workout, I didn't see Floyd Mayweather's coaches. Was one of those guys Floyd Mayweather's coach? Yeah, I know the one guy was from ATT. Was the other guy, was that Floyd's coach?
Yes. Gerald Tucker is his new coach now that, he's not working with, Roger anymore, obviously, or his father. But Gerald Tucker was his mitt man for the last fight. And Gerald Tucker's a guy that's been around for a long time. a Cincinnati guy, I believe, that had been around for a very long time in boxing, very sharp brain, a guy I've known for a long time to be a very astute mind. So he's a sharp guy. He knows what he's talking about. Floyd did do a couple workouts with Tyron, and I think it's cool. Me and Jacob were talking about it. We like it. You know, we wish Floyd would show up to the fight. You know, walk out with Tyron, come out in the corner with him. That'd be great. We would love that.
Cool. Jacob, this one I have for you. Regarding the rules, you know, what if Tyron decides to get a little crazy and do, you know, the legal WWE slam wrestling style? Are you guys have something protected in the contract to prevent that? I know you did that with Ben Askren. Do you have that type of deal in place for Tyron, just in case?
That's funny you asked that, because the other day when Tyron was talking about his sparring, he's like, he threw a couple spinning back fists in his sparring sessions, and he just said it came natural to him. So I was thinking, well, he might throw a couple elbows or some spinning back fists in the fight, but you know, there is some things in the contract that I believe that are like, you know, you can't throw him out of the ring or pick him up and slam him on his head or something like that. But I think it's pretty much, you know, no holds barred. Like whatever happens in there is going to happen, you know. And I think if Tyron throws an elbow or throws, you know, a spinning back fist, Jake's going to be ready for all of that. We taught him that anything can happen in this fight. We know it's very difficult to learn a Floyd Mayweather boxing style in 3 months. So we know Tyron is going to revert back to some of his MMA things that worked in there. You know, he likes to jab down, he likes to change levels, he likes to throw a wild overhand right, sometimes a straight right. You know, he has a decent jab, he's explosive. There's really nothing we haven't prepared for. I mean, I can tell you everything about Tyron Woodley, and BJ can tell you, and Zach can tell you everything about Tyron Woodley, literally to the T. I've watched every single one of his fights. I've watched from Luque, Cody Covington, Gilbert Burns, Usman, all the way back to his early fights against Nate Marquardt when he got knocked out. Every single fight. I mean, I probably know Tyron better than he knows himself. So there's nothing that we haven't prepared Jake for. May it be dirty, may it be low, whatever, you know, and hopefully the referee can, you know, contain all of that. But at the end of the day, you know, if he puts one out, he might get a spinning back fist back.
Okay.
I gotta ask you how it's like. This is something made me think about that they said, training in Miami and having to bounce gyms and all that kind of made me think of your camp with Islam, where the gym would be closed or you had to shift around. That's a pretty tough environment to have a fighter in, right? So this is probably a lot more conducive, wouldn't you think? Like having a nice isolated camp, your experience having a fighter.
100%. There's a lot more comfort. There's the coaches are more at ease. They don't have to worry about where they're going to train next. So there is a benefit by having that consistency there. Yeah. It's a peace of mind, and you know, knowing that you're going to have this certain amount of time when you're going to go when you want to go, not versus like what we had to do in Vegas. We could only use the gym from this time to that time, so there's a little pressure having that. So Jake having that luxury of that, but also too, one thing I want to point out that you guys are actually genius in how you guys picking your opponents. You went from like Ben Askren, who you know, most of us that know that they really couldn't. Ben's a great fighter, but he's not a boxer. And everybody that knows you guys picked him because he's not a boxer, you know. And now here you guys picked the fighter that maybe is not a boxer per se, but the guy can box and he definitely can fight, you know, stand up, you know. And what do you guys got to say about that? Because you went, like I said, from a guy that couldn't box, right? And Ben Askren, who's a great fighter, but not a boxer. Now you got a guy that's a great fighter and a decent boxer.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, Hav, you know, obviously, you know, Tyron's better than Ben, no question about it. But the one thing that when we went into the fight with Ben, everyone was like, oh, look, like a lot of people were like, oh, it's going to go 5-6 rounds. Jake won't knock him out. Ben's got an amazing chin. Maybe he's not a good striker. Ben's going to take him into deep waters. Ben's been there before. After Jake knocks him out in the first round, then you don't hear anything about it except Ben can't fight. Same thing with Tyron. He's a much better striker, no question about it. He's got more experience. But after Jake knocks him out, then everyone's going to be like, oh, Tyron couldn't box either. So you just got to kind of take the good with the bad. It's one of those situations where after you win a fight, nobody's really ever going to be too happy. It's always on to the next thing. But we recognize Tyron's definitely a better fighter definitely a better fighter than Ben. He's got better hands than Ben, but it's going to be very difficult for him to deal with what he's going to have to deal with on Jake's side for 4 or 5 or 6 rounds. It's going to be very difficult to learn how to deal with that over the last 3 or 4 months. So I feel like as far as, we're letting Jake into the ocean to let him swim, Tyron's also going to have to show he can swim, because Jake's been doing this for almost 3 years now with very good professionals, and, sparring with amateurs in Miami is not going to cut it with Jake. It's not. It's not going to get him ready for what Jake's bringing to the table. And Tyron's going to be the one, I think, that has more it's going to be tougher for Tyron than it is for Jake to learn how to box in 3 months, even though he's been doing, MMA fighting for his entire life. It's going to be tougher for him. Jake's used to it. Jake's sparred with good professionals for almost 3 years now. He's dealt with a lot of adversity. He's taken his bumps and bruises. He's taken his licks. And I feel like that comes with time. And I feel like in 3 or 4 months is not enough for Tyron. I feel like he's the one that's going to be led into the ocean on Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying all along, is that Tyron's is a good fighter, but he's not a boxer, and he's not had enough time to prepare. And you guys, geniuses as you are, you picked the right guy. In all honesty, if things happen the way you're saying, really, no one's got any room to talk. Nobody can say anything. They can't talk. They can't say, "Oh, Tyron." No, wait, shut up. Tyron's a legit fighter. Legit.
Yeah.
Legit. You can't say nothing. Yeah, you can't say nothing about Tyron. You cannot. So however the fight ends up, there's no way anybody that talks crap, they're just sour, because they're just sour, because the bottom line is this is a legit fight. Nothing. You can't talk. You can't say unprepared, not prepared. You can't say nothing. The only thing you can say is you guys have the edge and you guys got it right. Let's see what happens come fight night. But Zach, what do you think about the odds? You're the expert on the odds. What do you think?
I love. It's funny, like the shift it made. Like the Ben Askren fight. Ben Askren was like a slight favorite for a minute, ended up like even, which is crazy. Like I'm seeing this guy in camp, one guy so much better than Ben Askren, and like consistently outpointing them, beating them up bad. I'm like, man, this is a 1-round fight. And coming into this fight, I think people are almost underestimating Tyron Woodley as a fighter. He's a big step up. But we know we're ready for that. We've seen that in camp, guys like Derek Finley, brutal Jake Boswick, and I really like Jake by knockout in this fight. His pressure's relentless, his pace is relentless. He's got great precision on his punches. He's going to bring the pressure, and I think he's going to break Woodley down and finish this fight. It's at minus 160 for the knockout, and he's going to finish this fight for sure.
I like that you're wearing sunglasses in honor of Sunglasses Len. So I have a question for Hav. I had a question for Hav. I just think about this, watching both of you guys sitting here and going, ooh, an idea comes to mind. If somebody were to train with you, you don't baby anybody. Nobody comes into Javier for a celebrity spa coaching session to get babied by Javier Mendez. If he's going to come train with Javier Mendez, he's going to get put through the grind. And I would presume the same. You're working with El Peligroso over here, BJ Flores and his team, with Jacob. They're not going to baby Jake Paul. And so people they keep thinking about the YouTube thing, but you're dealing with real-ass coaches with real-ass training, wouldn't you say?
100%, and that's the reason why I say these guys are a genius for not letting any of the video out, so people don't understand what's coming. They don't understand. So there's a shock factor there, and Tyron's side, they're not letting none of his video out, but everybody knows how good he is, though. Everybody knows, so he doesn't have to let his videos out. People can just watch him fight. They can see the guy's got an iron chin. I mean, who took him out? Mark Court. Mark Court's the only one that's ever took him out, and he hit him with some hella shots before that happened. I believe he hit him with 2 elbows and then some other shots, and then he dropped him. But it took a lot to take care of him. So the guy could take a shot. So there's no fluke, this and that. He can't take a punch. If he gets knocked out or if Jake gets knocked out, there ain't going to be any, no one should be able to cry sour grapes on that one, because everybody was prepared. And Tyron's a legit fighter, and then Jake will prove to what you guys are trying to prove. He's a legit fighter, and I'm kind of a little bit slightly on your guys' side on that, the factor of the boxing. That Jake's ahead on Tyron with the boxing. I'm on that, but how he's going to perform, I mean, I can only guess, but it could end up 1 round either side, in my opinion. It could go either round.
I think how a big question is, like, a lot of people are saying, oh, Tyrone's been in fights deep. He's been 5 rounds. He's been, in the championship, mental battles with other fighters. But not one single time has he been in the boxing ring. Not one single time. And it's not the same. It's not the same. You have a wrestling threat. You have kick threats. And he wasn't a bad kicker either. I mean, Tyrone was fully well-rounded in MMA. So now we're talking about just boxing, which is more isolated, and it just changes a lot of things when you step in there. It's a different feel. It's a different stance. It's a different punch. It's a different movement. It's a bigger circumference on a glove that hits you versus an MMA glove, which you get a lot of cuts. You're setting up. You can grab. You still have your fingers. This is just completely different. And to come in after 3 months on a pro debut, I think my mind is telling me Tyrone is the one with the lack of experience here, not Jake. I think Jake has big nuts for taking this fight, because how many professional boxers do you see taking on, guys of this caliber after only 3 fights?
We saw MMA fighters afraid of Woodley's punch in the ring, if you recall. Don't you agree, Hav?
Yeah.
Guys would be like, "Oh, stay away from that punch."
Yeah.
Right?
He had incredible power, great speed, great power, and he's a killer. He's a killer. I mean, you give Tyrone an opening, he's gonna take you out. He will expose it. So
Yep.
was he? I'm sure you guys know all of that. Was he how well prepared Jake is for that? But my only other question is, and Jake alluded to this too, that the thing about the mom thing, that both sides were wrong, and I watched a little bit of that myself, and I'm like going, yeah, stay away from mother, stay away from father, stay away from religion, family, and the whole thing. And on that one there, I gotta say, I agree with Jake. It's something that should have never happened, on both sides were wrong on that. I think I seen it as both sides. I seen both of you guys in the background just really relaxed, and it cracked me up because you guys were the guys that weren't trying to stir nothing up. You weren't causing no problems. You're trying to de-escalate the whole thing.
Yes.
And I recognized that. I said, man, you guys are trying to de-escalate the whole thing, because normally you guys were the most prepared for a brawl breaking out, the way you guys were acting, because you weren't like, hey, well, let's go. You guys were just, hey, just relax and chill, and that's the way you defuse a situation. Talking loud, being obnoxious, that's not the way you diffuse a situation. You guys did fantastic in that. I was very impressed with that, because I like the fact that you guys were against anything of what was going on. But what are you guys' thoughts on that? I thought it was very bad on both sides, that it shouldn't have happened. And I didn't see Jake talking bad about his mom.
No.
I didn't see that at all. But what's your guys' opinion? I want all 3 of you guys' opinion on that. We'll go with BJ.
Well, one more thing, guys. I want to flash a clip of just showing Jacob trying to defuse the situation, if that helps. Well, can I do that? Then we can go let you guys rip.
Yeah.
Does that sound good? So let me do that real quick. So, yeah, I was like, I'm saving it up. I'm like, I got to put this on there. Let's see. So, yeah, this is just this section right here. Here you are trying to.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Nothing but respect.
Yeah, and
That's what you said. And like you're not that guy. You're not trying to be that guy, right? So.
No, I told him. I said, hey, look, champ, you're right. Nobody's trying to disrespect your mom. We've got a big event Sunday. Let's just let the fighters handle it. You guys are going to have your chance to settle this. This isn't about me. This isn't about anyone else. This is about the fighters. And they're the ones who should be doing the talking, and they're the ones that are there to promote, and they're the ones who are going to fight on Sunday, not us.
How'd you feel about that, BJ? When you were all that chaos, you're just trying to get through this to get to the next 2 to get to work, right?
Jacob was talking to Tyron's side. I was on the other side where D-Cut was, where the sister came over and kind of confronted D-Cut and was yelling and cussing at him right over him and cussing him out. And then the brother-in-law of her actually comes over, and then he had a knife on him. He comes over there. So it's just like, I just feel like, people come to these press conferences like, obviously when you bring a knife to a press conference, I mean, sometimes you're looking for trouble for any little thing, you know. It's like no one on our team had knives or was carrying weapons or anything like that. So it's just it's a little ridiculous. But you know, I think
Did he flash a knife?
yeah,
Did
he
he
had it
flash?
on his way.
He flashed it?
And that was the thing that got Amanda Serrano's trainer very upset when he showed the knife, that he was going to like just trying to play tough guy, you know, with the knife in the press conference, like showing that. And then the other security guard of Tyron's, the other security guard that came over and I guess pushed one of Jake's security guards, he was carrying a weapon as well. He was carrying a pistol. So I mean, those are things you don't really bring into press conferences, you know. It's like, so they were almost like they were kind of looking for an opportunity to to do anything to pull the weapons. I don't know. It just seemed kind of like amateurish to me. So that was the first real sign I saw of Tyron kind of cracking under pressure a little bit, because I don't know. It just seemed like it didn't seem very professional to me. Jake was totally calm. You know, it wasn't even really anything that D-Cut said to the mom. The sister really ran over there. You know, the mom was like, you know, yelling stuff to Tyron, and Jake, and D-Cut was yelling stuff to Jake. And, you know, there's a lot of emotions. You know, both guys have been training for their, last 3 months, and there's a lot of emotions going on. And there was a little back and forth going on back in the crowd, but there was nothing derogatory said to Mama Woodley, and we would never disrespect her like that. It wasn't like that. So I think it got, out of control and misunderstood. And the sister runs over there and gets in D-Cut's face and starts cussing him out. And that to me is a mistake, because you don't go into someone's, personal space and start threatening them. And then the brother-in-law runs over and he gets on the other side and shows the knife. It's just like, I mean, those are just rookie moves to me. You just don't do that.
I have that clip. I'll show it after you talk about it. But you see, it's almost staged. It's almost like you got to wonder sometimes if people showing up to these press conferences, they're stealing the press conference, almost like clout chasing for the moment. But it could be heightened. It could be the heightened thing. I'm not devaluing that. It could be heightened tensions, but too much. I mean, if you got to bring a knife to a press conference, you shouldn't be in there, man.
And the thing about it too, to follow up on that, it's like, you just, they're almost like looking for opportunities to start fights, and you should never do that. I mean, emotions are already high enough. You got to de-escalate. Jacob did a great job de-escalating Tyron on the other side and helping with that. And we got the other side. I was working on getting the other side kind of calmed down and getting them out of the area. So, clearing that up so nothing happened. So nobody got injured or nobody got hurt. I mean, obviously nobody on our team had any weapons, but when the other side is bringing in weapons, it's just inexperience. It's a little ghetto, to be honest with you. You don't bring weapons into a press conference. I mean, what are you doing? It's just very strange to me. It shows a lot of inexperience.
Yeah, and I'm a little confused too. Just to chime in on that, and on Champ's side, and I got a lot of respect for Champ and things he's done. On speaking of Woodley, but you're a professional, right? You've been brought into this fight. You're getting paid extreme amount of money, right? More than you've ever made, ever. So I think a little bit more professionalism as far as, hey, thank you guys for promoting the show and having me, as a part of it. Win or lose, like, I'm thinking I'm going to win. That's what sells the fight. But to come in and show a little bit more gratitude, I think was what I was looking for, more professionalism. And I told him afterwards, I go, Champ, you're bigger than this. Like, you're going to be able to speak in the ring on Sunday. Like, you've been through this a lot of times in UFC press conferences, and people have yelled at you, like, this game. So, like, he's green lighting people and telling people green light on him and this and that. It's like, I was really surprised by that, honestly. And I think when he looks back and looks at the film, he might say to himself too, I probably could have handled that a little bit better, because nobody really would disrespect his mother ever.
But I think, I think that was the issue. I think the issue was he felt his mom was disrespected because everybody talking to him. So that sets him off, because everybody that has followed his career knows how beautiful of a person his mother is, and how everybody loves his mother. And the MMA community loves his mother because she's incredible. Everybody, even his opposition, the people he fought against, love his mother because she's incredible. She's incredible.
Jake's mom and Pam and his mom actually were sitting right next to each other before this broke out. They've met each other 4 events ago, and when they get together at these events, Jake's mom and Mama Woodley, they're like this. They're like laughing and they're really polite.
Yeah.
They're friends. Honestly, they're friends.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious that Jake Paul respects mothers and respects family and respects boundaries. And this was an unfortunate situation that got escalated by other people that it should never happen. I saw the clip where his sister approached D Cup, and behind him was the cousin.
Yeah.
The cousin that was right behind D Cup, and
Right
you
here.
could tell he was ready to smack on him. Look at him, as you can
Yep.
see it, he's right behind him. He's ready to tee off on him. So that's an unfortunate situation. And again, that wasn't Tyron, that wasn't Jake getting involved, and D Cup's really calm right there. He's not.
He was.
He's not trying to instigate nothing. He did say some things he probably regrets saying, but unfortunately, because if he would have known how important his mother is to him, I don't think he would have made that third grade comment. I don't think so. I don't think he would have. I think he would have just be quiet and just kept it hush hush, and everything would have went well. But let's face it, this created more interest, whether we like it or not. It did. You know, and that's going to create more interest for the fight.
Well, that's it's like I saw that situation, and it's like one little thing sets off the match when the tensions are high. It looks like to me, and it
100%.
could be just be something like, "Excuse me, oh, excuse you, you bumped into me," like you're trying to get aggressive with me because people are defensive. They're walking in there.
But let
I'll
me tell you. Let me tell you something about boxing and you know, I've been in both sides. I've been in MMA camps. I've been in boxing camps. When you're raised as a boxer and you box all the time, just like Hob can probably attest to this. If you're in wrestling all your life, you can go in wrestle with a guy, or you can go in spar with a guy, and then afterwards you guys can go have a sandwich together. And then afterwards you guys can go. Boxing and wrestling are the same from that. But MMA, when you start mixing in all these other things and other personalities, it's so personal. It's so personal, guys, to MMA, where boxing is more camaraderie. It's more sport, which is kind of hard to believe, right? They're hitting each other. But afterwards, it's like, no problem. When you're going into a fight, there's a certain level of professionalism in boxing. It's like, we're going to box. And then afterwards, we're going to go have a soda. Not in MMA. MMA is getting that a little bit better with that. But before, it's like, look, I want to kill you and I want to kill you. And there's no love lost in these situations. So I think that's another big part of this that mixes in when you get MMA guys versus boxing guys. Is boxing guys are like fun trash talk, like camaraderie, let's go fight, and then afterwards we're cool. Where MMA guys are like, this is war, we're going to kill you, and afterwards we're probably still not going to be friends.
Interesting observation on the psychology there. So how comfortable are you? What are you feeling? How this fight's going to go, BJ? What's your thoughts?
I think it's going to be one-sided, and I think that's surprising to a lot of people. But I think what Jake's been doing in camp with his pace, with his output, the only way that Tyron can win, it's impossible for him to outwork Jake or out-hustle Jake. He's going to have to knock him out. That's the only way he'll win. But I think Jake's going to land that shot before Tyron does because of how good his range and his distance and his punch selection has gotten over the last 12 months. People haven't had a chance to see that yet because the fights have been short. But once Jake gets warmed up, the second he gets warmed up, this fight will be over. And that's what I'm looking forward to people to see. That this kid works really hard, and I just feel like Sunday is going to be a great opportunity for him to showcase everything he's been working on over the last 12 to 18 months. And people haven't got to see it yet because the Ben and the Nate fight were so short. But hopefully Tyron gets into that third or fourth or fifth round, and then people can see that. And like I said, I'm looking for a tremendous challenge from Tyron. He's a world champion. He's got a great team around him. I'm looking for the best version of him, but I just feel like it's going to be one-sided until it ends.
So how are you gonna feel? I mean, it sounds like you're working long range really well, getting ready to prepare for long range. How are you prepared for inside fighting range?
100% prepared. I mean, he's going to have to go through hell to get close, and if he does get close, he's got to watch out for a massive right uppercut. He's got to watch out for a big left hook as well. So there's two things that he's got to watch out for when he gets on the inside. He's got to worry about the jab and the right hand coming in. When he gets in close, he's got to worry about the right uppercut and the left hook both. They could both end the fight. So, and that's one thing we haven't really got to show of Jake's game yet, his inside game. But, if Tyron wants to get close and he tries to get close, tries to work his way in, he's going to have two dangers. Trying to get close, that's a danger. And then once he gets close, there's another danger. So, we're fine with either way it goes. If it stays a distance, fine. If he comes in close, I feel like the fight ends shorter. It ends quicker.
We reiterate this, Hav. Boxing and MMA is almost like bowling to golf, right? I mean, that different of a sport in its way. It's fighting. It's, you're hitting something.
No, not compared to that. They're a little bit more similar, but in boxing, it's a sweet science, and this is the sweet science, and Tyron has now never been in the sweet science, so he never focused on the sweet science. So it's like BJ saying, you got 3+ years of practicing the sweet science versus an accomplished MMA fighter, who was one of the great ones in MMA, as an MMA fighter coming in, as a boxer. But he's been boxing. Tyron's been boxing for a while, but he just hasn't competed in it, and he hasn't practiced it for as long as Jake has. So to me, that's the reason why I give the edge to Jake, because of the coaching and what BJ and Jake, what they've been doing with him is incredible. Jacob and him have been working with him on the mind and the strategy and the whole bit, and it's kind of like that.
With Jake too.
Zach too.
I've been the main sparring
I
partner
think
for
Wynn's
this,
been the main sparring.
Is that why Zach's wearing glasses? You don't want to show the black eyes?
He's on my team. Team Lens sunglasses. We're team sunglasses over here.
Well, for me, it's like I'm more awake because I've been taking my Jacob CBD because I finally got it. I get good night's sleep, so I can come here and be sharp for you guys. Otherwise, I let Len run the whole course because I'm like, I don't know what to think. I'll just answer questions.
You're my partner, Hob. You got my partner, man.
I love it when Hob jumps in. I just shut the hell up. I'm like, about time.
No, you guys see, you hear Len's trying to get some words in. He goes, fuck, Hob took me out. Damn it. Hob's not letting me talk. What the hell?
This is what I was hoping for.
I don't like this. I'm not going to be known as the guy with the sunglasses anymore.
The sunglasses guy, the small square in the corner. That's my new identity. But, go ahead.
So, hey, you guys, question. What's the next step? If Jake gets by, I know for you guys it's when. I'm saying if because I'm an if factor. If Jake gets by Tyron, what's next?
I really can't answer because I'm only worried about Woodley. Honestly, I haven't thought about what's next. I refuse to talk about who's next. There's way too much on the line. This is a massive step up for Jake. He's got to be ready for Woodley. He's got to be ready for round one. I couldn't care less what's next. I'm only worried about Woodley, and I'm only worried about what we're going to do to offset his physical strengths. That's it.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you too. We've always talked about this, and people ask that question all the time. Like, guys, if you guys don't pay attention to what's right in front of you, which is a very dangerous, qualified human killer fighter that's coming to take Jake's head off, we can't think about anything moving past that. Honestly, like. This fight has got us like really alert, guys, and really thinking like, okay, we're putting our best foot forward, and Jake is as well, because this is a dangerous fight for us. Very dangerous fight for us.
It's not
being honest.
Fight.
Being honest as hell. Go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
When people call fighters stepping stones and then they look past people and they're looking 3 fights ahead, that's when I see them slip up the most. I see it all the time. This guy's a stepping stone. This guy's a small part of the journey. Listen, that's the guy in front of you. That's how you have to focus all your energy on. You can't overlook someone like Tyron Woodley, who has explosive power in both hands and has finished people and knocked them out. High-level guys. I mean, knocked out Robbie Lawler cold. Josh Koscheck cold. I mean, these are very, very high-level guys, and Woodley has a lot of experience as well, and he's something that we can't overlook and look 3 fights past. And Jake's going to fight Canelo and Tank, all these guys. Tyron's next.
Guys, Tyron, I'm looking at him every day, during these events. He is like so determined that he's going to win this. He's looking at Jake like he's going to eat him for breakfast. Like he's not messing around. He's not taking this lightly. This guy is like he's out for blood. He's out for war. So when I look at him, I'm looking at a guy that, man, this has got me on the edge of my seat and making me want to bring out the best of BJ, the best with the team, the best with Jake, and prepare for a guy who is trying to escalate his career and go to the next level. He wants to be a world champion. He wants to do all these things. Like, how do we overlook that? I don't even care about another fight. I'll be happy just to get in there and get this one done.
Yeah, good. Now that's a good answer. Now, do you guys think maybe you don't get enough respect from Tyron? Do you guys think that maybe the slight overlooking you guys? Do you feel that at all?
He definitely is overlooking Jake. He thinks in his mind, he believes there's no way that Jake Paul can beat him. And he honestly, I see it in his eyes. He's like, there's no way this guy can beat me. And he's getting in there with that mentality.
Which
his ego is going to be one of our biggest advantages, because his preconceived notion that a Disney star, someone who finished third place in the Challenger Games, which is kind of a makeup game, and we do in California. But he just, in his mind, a guy like that can't possibly compete with him. And so Tyron's ego, like the things he says, like when Jake sees my sparring footage, he's going to back out. And when Jake sees me punching these mitts, he's going to back out. Like, he has no clue where Jake's at mentally. Like, we can't wait to get our hands on this guy. So his ego is one of our big advantages, I think, in this fight.
Yeah. He really thinks, God, he really thinks that we're like
fear him, afraid of him.
Bum. Like, I don't know if he's really investigated and looked into like BJ's training him or like what we're doing. Like, he's looking at us like, you're nothing.
Yeah, like Jake's crew and all that.
We're nothing. Like,
Yeah.
nothing.
Like for instance, I'll give you guys for instance, like with me, right? If I was in that situation, I would be preparing my guy for everything 100%. And so I would be preparing him for the best version and not overlooking everybody, because I've had that happen, you guys, where my guys they're thinking, oh, he's nothing, Hub. And I'm like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. So do you guys think that he's getting some of this confidence from his coaches that are saying that? Do you think that's I'm sure you guys don't know for sure, but is that a possibility that his coaches might be telling him, oh, you got this. This guy, he ain't never been in there with someone like you. You guys think that maybe his coaches are saying that?
Because they never seen it. Could be they never seen any footage, though. There's not really a lot.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You guys don't ever show footage. Smart.
It's not that. I think it's Tyron's ego from being a world champion, and he just can't comprehend or wrap his mind around the fact that Jake's going to be any type of competition for him. I think with guys like Pedro Diaz and Gerald Tucker, they've been around long enough to know that, look, like, we've got a kid, we've got a lot of time with the kid, we've got a lot of rounds with the kid. He's going to come in with something, trust me. But in Tyron's mind, he just can't fathom it, and I think it's a massive advantage for us. I don't think it's the coaches at all. I think it's Tyron.
Okay, because I remember Freddie Roach before Ben Askren. Freddie Roach was saying that Ben Askren was going to knock out, Jake. So I'm just asking that question because the other coach thought that Jake was in trouble, and obviously we saw he was incorrect. But he was very confident in his interview on stating that Jake Paul was over his head with Ben Askren, and I'm just wondering if it's the same case with these guys.
No, I actually, Freddie was great to hype up the fight saying that, I feel like that's what he really thought, but that kind of made people think, when a respected trainer like Freddie Roach says that Ben's going to knock him out, people were like, man, Ben's probably pretty good. But it was just a situation in a case where, Freddie just didn't know. And you can't fault him for that.
That's my question, because I would do the same thing. Like, I'm not going to say something like that unless I felt my guy can actually do this. So I'm just saying, Freddie's saying that he actually felt that.
I know. Right.
That's why the hidden, what you guys do, hiding everything is good. So go ahead, Jacob. I know I cut you off.
I was just going to say, at the end of the day, all of this stuff that we're talking about, there's just not been enough time from the time we made the fight to now for Tyron or his coaches to adjust to any type of mentality other than, just a quick rundown and a quick check and balances. And found it. There just hasn't been enough time to build up a mentality, any type of mindset, any type of real fortitude of how this thing's going to play out. Time is big when it comes to learning a craft, and you need it, especially in a sweet science. A sweet science is you need time. And I just don't think there's been enough time for them to really encapsulate anything that is going to be remotely effective in there, other than just Tyron's a great athlete, and he's going to be bringing a lot of mental fortitude to the ring.
Go ahead.
I believe a lot of his offense and MMA was predicated off the takedown. He'll feint the takedown, go over, big overhand right. He's blitzing in. That stuff doesn't work in boxing. If someone's rushing in at you, you saw the Nate Robinson fight. That's an easy win. You can't rush in like that with your chin up and whatever. Woodley can't get inside, clinch, trip him. All the stuff that Woodley's been working on for 15 years is not going to help him at all in this fight. He's had 3 months to break those habits, 3 months to become a real boxer. And Jake's been training for 3 or 4 years with some of the highest level coaches in the world. So it's just not enough time to adapt and fight a guy like Jake, who's a lot more skilled than they're going to be expecting for sure.
Yeah, that's my thought.
There it is.
That's beautiful insight. So you guys gonna rest up, eat some food, get BJ some lunch, and live happily ever after.
Get some
Baskin Robbins.
I don't need any food, guys. I'm on a water diet for the next little bit, but we're looking forward to it, guys. I mean, not much else to say except we got to get in there and do it, and we understand that very well, and we're just looking forward to Sunday.
Absolutely.
It was cool to do this live with you guys. We're seeing how it's going. I didn't really run into fan questions right now. Listen, I know you've been through a lot of media. I do it on some of these things. Not going to take you through those depths on this one, I would think, because there's not a lot of stuff I see popping that's like going to add to what we've already done here at the moment. But the next one me and Hav will do would be like that. But you get something to say, Hav? Go ahead.
Me? No, I'm good.
You're on the spot. Say something. You took over, man. You're in charge now.
I'm in charge. That's why we're finished. We're finished.
You know,
We're done.
you know what? I just want to tell Hav, coming from being one of the greatest MMA coaches in the entire world on the planet, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I've watched you, bring guys into like greatness, and I want to say, being on the MMA side, we really appreciate the support, because we're on the boxing side. We're over here with Jake. It's very controversial. It's very hot-blooded between MMA and boxing, and we appreciate, that you've been supportive to us on that side of things because, I'm sure your side of things is like, hey, whose side are you on in this and that, and we know where your loyalties are, and you have some great MMA history. So we just appreciate that you would even talk to us and give us the support.
Well, yeah, it's because of the very reason that you have to respect boxing, and I respect boxing, and I know what boxing is. Majority of my life has been in boxing, so I understand boxing, and in MMA, the MMA fans, they understand fighting, but they don't understand boxing. So Tyron is not a boxer per se, though he's boxed, but he's not a boxer per se. He's a fighter. Yeah. He's going to fight. So the best version, you're going to get the best version of a fighter from Tyron. You really are. But is it enough? Is it enough? I don't know. I'm slightly thinking it may not be enough because of what you guys are saying. Everything you guys are saying, I have to nod my head and agree. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I just think that, you guys know it too, that Tyron's got that power and that speed, and he's a champion. So, he comes in as a fighter, not a boxer, because I think as a boxer, he doesn't do as well. I think as a fighter, I think that you got your hands full with a great fight. And I think
he's going to come in there and try to make it rough, Hav?
If I'm training him, I would make it rough. I would not make it a boxing because I know that I'm behind the 8 ball if I do that. There's no way that I'm going to be able to catch up. I would do a slight version of what Jake's brother did with Mayweather, kind of use it a little rough and throw him off his game because I can't let Jake stay in his game because I'm behind. I may think I'm ahead, but I'm actually behind, and I know better than that.
Everything you said, Hav, right there, everything you said is exactly why people should buy this fight. Exactly why, because he's coming in as a fighter. He's coming in, he's explosive. Like just everything you said. I can't even say it better. You said it great. So that's why you buy this fight. Tyron's a very high level fighter. Period. That's it.
Is this a pro-sanctioned fight, right? This is the first pro-sanctioned. Am I correct about that? And on Showtime Boxing, so all the regulations are in place. Everything. It's not a demo. Testing, checking, everything. All the rules.
No exhibition.
Right? That was something we should have said earlier, but yeah, that makes a big difference. So now it counts. Now it goes on your record, not an exhibition fight. What made him switch from the other type to go pro? That was the goal ultimately, right? From exhibition to pro?
We haven't had any exhibitions since I've been with him. They've all been.
No, you're still thinking Mayweather there, Len.
I'm mixing them up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're not with
I need more coffee. Can you get me a coffee sponsor? Because I wasn't awake on that one.
I'm going to have my assistant send you some, Len.
I love you guys, man. It's been good talking to you.
Bye, buddy. Thanks so much.
You guys are always a great podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, thank you, man.
Thanks again, bro.
Yeah, man. Thanks, you guys.
All right, love you, Hav. See you,
man. All right, take care.